Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Jay, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. So you have completed the integrated writing practice test, and you also paid for the additional service to have me error correct your essay. Okay, so in this case, let's take a look at your first paragraph. So, in this set of materials, don't forget the S on that noun there. So I'm going to put down some of the problems you want to focus on when you're done today. The reading passage discusses 3 points to succeed in any business. Such as attending all meetings, you have supplementary reading materials for employees. I would say encouraging So in this case, we have to do what's called parallel structure. So we have attending, encouraging, and writing. So this, I know I sent you that form the other day. If you look at the symbols near the end of it, it's called faulty parallelism. You do have a problem with that in this paragraph. So encouraging employees to read all work-related because we have read, I'm going to put materials and not have to repeat that. And to make this parallel, then you say writing you might say one draft. Yeah, however, the listening passage disagrees with the text in the reading passage and provides explanation to justify its stance. I'm going to say here, stance, the noun. And that's okay. I think you got a good setting here. Now also be careful of your spelling. Though that's not a huge problem, even if you don't spell every word correctly. So that's one paragraph. So I made a few changes, and near the end we'll keep a list of some of the problems you're having, and then you can know what you need to do to solve those issues. So with the first paragraph, you have basically a parallel structure problem. That's the biggest issue. But your organization is actually pretty good. You're combining the main point of the reading and the listening passage, which is what you need to do. Now also, you have to be parallel in the way you use transition words. If you say first here, then you have to say second here. If you say first of all here, then you say second of all here. If you say firstly here, then say secondly here. So we'll change this to second. Okay, let's take a look. So far though, it looks like you have a pretty good understanding of what you're trying to do, but my recommendation here is try to keep each paragraph balanced. And what that means is approximately half of the paragraph you talk about the reading, and then half of the paragraph you're talking about the lecture. So let's see, you say the reading passage refers to the importance of attending all meetings, how it's effective to discuss controversial matters, to discuss. If you say bringing, then you have to say discussing. This is another parallel structure issue. So you'll say how it is effective discussing controversial matters and bringing everyone on the same page to get the job done. If you look at the reading passage here, it says, meetings are effective for discussing controversial issues, which is what you said, and it says, and making sure everyone is up to date with current technology. You might say, with the current job-related technology. So I think we're okay there. So let's look again. The reading passage refers to the importance of attending all meetings and how it is effective discussing controversial matters and bringing everyone on the same page with the current job-related technology. I like this idea. It's a little bit wordy, but what you're doing is you're using synonyms, which is good. It says up to date here. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's exactly the same in meaning, though. That's the only problem. But if you say bringing everyone on the same page with current job-related technology, I guess current goes back to update, right? So to counter that, let me check what you said about the listening passage. The listening passage mentions I think you probably want to state the main point here. You probably have to say something like this first because this is a key idea, then you get to your specific idea. So listening passage mentions that meetings should be limited. Then you might say, in fact, according to the speaker, short meetings are more productive and that is correct. So they are more productive, probably just say compared to 60 to 90 minute Okay, hold on a second. I didn't mean to do that. And what does it say in there about 60, 90 minute, which means which may lead to participants becoming bored? Now I think you have that. So in fact, according to the speaker, short meetings are more productive compared to 60 to 90 minute meetings. How about in that, comma maybe, in those longer meetings, leaders would spend, I'm going to say that's probably a little bit too strong there. I'm going to say may. And sometimes you have will versus would, you have can versus could, you have may versus might, so you're kind of talking about something in the present, right? So I'm going to say, in fact, according to the speaker, short meetings are more productive compared to 60 to 90 minute meetings in that in those longer meetings, leaders may spend most of the time on introductory topics and less time on important issues. How about this? Thereby causing participants to lose interest. I think you've covered most of the important information here. Let me check one more time. So it says, and be hesitant to call meetings yourself. You can deal with most issues through email or a quick phone call. If you're involved in calling, plan an issue meeting, make sure it's productive. But if you just say limit the meetings that you attend, I think that you've captured the most important information there. Alright, so I think this paragraph is also good. Okay, with this one, we're with our second ID here. Now one more thing. So I made a few changes here. This might go to one other thing I'm going to write down here. VAR, that means sentence variety. So that revision symbol thing I sent you, go to the VAR. You can click on the links to get some understanding of that. And you can also go to the grammar part of my course. Check out the lessons. It's called Sentence Variety Grammar Lesson number 26, and that will point you in the right direction to help you a little bit more with your sentence variety. Okay, so you say second, the reading passage suggests that through reading of the supplementary materials for all employees will help them perform their job efficiently. This is where you run into trouble, because you have to look at what are the three main assertions in the reading, then how does the listening disagree with these assertions? Now I know the reading didn't put it in this order, but if you look at the very last line of the paragraph, it says, employees are encouraged to read all documents in their entirety. That's the assertion that you want to make. So you want to say, so the reading passage suggests that employees should read all the content in reading materials. You might say including supplementary reading materials you might put here so that they will This is probably good enough here. I think we got it. Okay, I think we're ready to move on here. So second, the reading passage suggests that employees should read all the content in reading materials, including supplementary materials, so they will complete their work tasks more efficiently. So you might put here this means that employees the major and minor points I'm using documents instead of reports, just like you, using some synonyms. So I'm just adding a little bit here. So the main thing with paragraph 2, I think the main thing that you could have trouble with the TOEFL is you want to put the first line or two of the paragraph, you want to state exactly what the main assertion is in the reading. What is the main argument? Then you say, in contrast, the listening passage states that employees do not need to read. You see that? The way that you had it structured, there wasn't a clear relationship between what the listening passage is saying and then what you've already stated about the reading passage. But now, because we've already said that employees should read all the content in reading materials, then you say, in contrast, the listening passage states that employees do not need to read every detail. And this is actually singular. With the word every, you need to use a singular noun there. Rather, they should focus on the big ideas. Big and important, that this is kind of a little bit wordy. So I'm going to say wordy here. They should focus on what is important and should skip the part which may not be as useful. So let's check to make sure you didn't leave out any information here. This is good. There's a lot of information according to the lecture about reading, but I think you've exactly captured, I think, most of that. So I think we're okay with this paragraph. Okay, let's take a look at what you've done with the final paragraph. And I have no problem with a short conclusion like this. For integrated writing, you set it up with a real short paragraph that connects the two sources and shows the relationship. Then you discuss it in kind of what's called a sequencing, where you put the reading and the lecture together in each paragraph, juxtaposing reading point 1, listening point 1. Reading point 2, listening point 2. Reading point 3, listening point 3. So you have a good solid organization. So, okay, let me look at the reading passage as I'm looking at this. So we get to writing the reports. This one's a little bit hard. It's kind of technical, some of the information here. Okay, so you say the reading passage confers. No, not a good word. That's not going to work very well. Confer, I mean, if you think about it, let me give you a definition here. Hold on a minute. See if I can show you something here. So let's go to Google. Here we go. You have grant or bestow like a title, degree, or benefit. So that doesn't fit. You confer a degree on someone after they've gotten their bachelor's or their master's degree. So the way that you use that wasn't the right sense here. You can put argues. So the reading passage argues that employees should write all documents at once rather than separating them into the steps, which can be too time-consuming. See, I'm not sure if you're exactly getting the meaning here. Let's look at the reading passage. So it says, to many employees, when they're assigned to write a report or proposal, they pretend like they're still in college and they will attempt to use all the required stages of the process. These employees should not try to separate the steps in the writing process. They should write the document all at once. They should write the document all at once, right? You can put by skipping the stages of the writing process. And by writing a document I'm going to just kind of change this around a little bit here. You have the main point. So the reading passage argues that by skipping the stages of the writing process and by writing a document all at once, employees will save valuable time. And it does say because it's too time consuming, right? So let's look at it again at last. The reading passage argues that by skipping the stages of the writing process and by writing a document all at once, employees will save valuable time. You might say, in other words, will not need to use all the steps in the writing process. Then you might say here, I'm going to put that transition word here to just show, so it shows the difference here. And I put that extra sentence, now I have a little bit more of a balanced kind of presentation of ideas. On the other hand, the listening passage disagrees with it. No, that's not a great word. How about with this assertion? A little bit better vocabulary. Assertion means argument. On the other hand, the listening passage disagrees with this assertion and states that they, who is they, okay, let's see what we have here. Just we're running into some trouble. So we have is to separate. According to the lecture, it says, a better approach separates the main steps of the writing process. First, compose an outline for what you're going to say and in what order. Then make a rough draft knowing it will be highly imperfect. Then go back over your work and revise as needed. So I don't know you have to get too specific there. The main thing you're saying is the lecture is encouraging the employees to use the writing process and to write a report in multiple drafts in order to create a much more perfect, more accurate type document. I'm going to So we'll say something like this. On the other hand, the listening passage claims that workers should follow the steps in the writing process I'm going to just get to what you're saying here. So by composing an outline, then making a rough draft, about here, revising as needed. You might say that previous draft. You say timely and effective, but the lecture says timely and accurate. So I guess that's pretty close. If it's accurate, it's effective, right? You want to say, following this process to the speaker will help timely and accurate. It says projects. I'm going to just say writing tasks to use a synonym there. Okay, when we get to the end here, to conclude, the listening passage contradicts the points made by the reading passage. I'm going to just put here, regarding business success. Now this one, let me take a look at what you might score on this one. So I think you'll probably score at least 3.0 out of this one. I mean, you have a good, clear, I think, structure. Your paragraphs are well structured. You did a good job, I think, with paragraphs 2, 3, and 4. My only concern was paragraph 2, where you didn't really state in the first line there what the actual assertion was in the reading passage. That might cause you a little bit of trouble. So you're probably looking right now, I think, on integrated writing, maybe anywhere from maybe 20 to 22 points out of 30. That would be my guess right now. So to improve, I think you have to be careful of some of these problems. It looks like parallelism is a pretty big issue for you right now. So you want to review that particular lesson according to that handout that I emailed you. Be careful that you're not unnecessarily wordy. Be careful plural S endings and spelling in general. But remember, spelling is not really a huge problem. That's not going to really cause your grade to be that low because of that, as long as we can understand what you're trying to say. Okay, so let's take a look at the essay one more time. We'll make just a few more changes. So overall, you're 344 words. That's fine. You don't have to overdo it with this task. So we have, in this set of materials, the reading passage discusses about 3 points to succeed in any business. I'm going to make this a little less wordy. How about discusses 3 points about business success, such as attending all meetings, encouraging employees to read all work-related materials, and writing reports in one draft. However, the listening material disagrees with the text I'm going to put here with the claims. So the listening material disagrees with the claims in the reading passage and provides explanations to justify its stance or position. First, the reading passage refers So the reading passage contends that meeting attendance is vital I'm going to kind of discuss controversial matters and to bring everyone on the same page with current job-related technology. So I just kind of made this a little more concise. Again, the reading passage contends that meeting attendance is vital to discuss controversial matters and to bring everyone on the same page with current job-related technology. Probably don't even need that. To counter that, the listening passage mentions that meetings should be limited. In fact, according to the speaker, short meetings are more productive compared to 60 to 90-minute meetings, in that in those longer meetings, leaders may spend most of the time on introductory topics and less time on important issues, thereby causing participants to lose interest. Second, the reading passage suggests that employees should read all the content and reading materials, including supplementary materials, so they will complete their work tasks more efficiently. This means that employees should focus on both the major and minor points of the reading documents. In contrast, the listening passage states that employees do not need to read every detail of those documents. Rather, they should focus on what is important and should skip the part which may not be as useful to their jobs. At last, the reading passage argues that by skipping the stages of the writing process and by writing a document all at once, employees will save valuable time. In other words, they will not need to use all the steps in the writing process when generating business reports. On the other hand, the listening passage claims that workers should follow the steps in the writing process by composing an outline, making a rough draft, and then revising as needed, which includes phrasing sentences from maybe previous drafts. Following this process, according to the speaker, will help workers complete timely and accurate writing tasks. To conclude, the listening passage contradicts the points made by the reading passage regarding business success. Alright? So there we go. So overall, though, I think your organization is pretty good. You understand how to structure this kind of task. And in fact, I think that you're stronger, and because I've now evaluated 2 different writing tasks from you, I've evaluated an independent writing task and an integrated writing task, you seem to be better and more skilled at organizing your integrated writing. At least that's my take now. Alright, anyway, thank you for completing this essay. And I hope that my video is giving you some ideas on some things that you need to think about when you complete your integrated writing tomorrow. So good luck to you, by the way, when you take the TOEFL exam.